Welcome back to another episode of The Art of Volunteering. I'm your host, Stormy Bell. I am so excited about today's conversation. My friend Nicole Hill, who I've only known a short time, has such a compassionate heart, and she's just so loving and kind. And I just think you're going to hear her story and realize that everyone can get involved in their community and love on their community. And it's done through volunteering. So, welcome, Nicole.
Hi.
All right. Nicole Hill is the creator of Nikks Village, an unofficial nonprofit in Chester County, Pennsylvania. Her priority is to help people, mainly women, heal from childhood trauma through retreats, workshops, and Reiki. She also helps to build and strengthen her community with service. She is open to many ways of reaching the community members and helping them to feel heard and helped. She lives a life of service, and Nikks Village reflects that service. So again, I just welcome Nicole. I'm just so glad that you're here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're going to start with Nikks Village. What inspired you to start at this mission to help women heal from childhood trauma? Like, just what does that look like?
What started me was my own background, being a an adult survivor of many different kinds of childhood trauma. Um, I Once I began my healing journey, I realized that I didn't ever want anyone to feel the way I felt at various times in my life when I wanted to do better and I wanted to heal. But like everything I wanted to do cost money and I didn't really have the money. And so it was much easier to go back into old habits than to try to break into Reiki and yoga and those kinds of things because I just really didn't have the money to go to a retreat or a workshop. So when I became exposed to that stuff, I knew that I wanted to learn all of that and take it back to my community and basically give it to my community and help them to have the healing that I always wanted as a younger person.
So you talk about having, like, you take yoga to your community and retreats. Can you just expand on that? Like, what does that look like? Who comes? Are they're you're volunteering, so they're free sessions? It's just people who feel um, like this would be good for their lives.
One of the biggest ways that I reach my community through workshops, yoga, and retreats is with Half Moon Sisters, which is something that Nikks Village partners with. It was actually an idea of me from Nikks Village. And I started with having these events called these pamper events, where I would call on my friends, one who's an esthetician, and different friends who do different things, massage, Reiki, uh, access bars, those kinds of things. And I would ask them to provide services for a discounted price to raise money for Nikks Village and Half Moon Sisters. It later became Half Moon Sisters. It started as Nikks Village. And it was like, let's raise money for Nikks Village by doing these events, these pamper events. And so we started raising money. And then I started talking with two other friends, Shakira Davis and Anna Wynn Lang. And we decided to become the Half Moon Sisters and provide retreats. And it was always important that people could get a free access to this retreat. So the fundraising allows, if we have enough money, however amount of money we have left over, we give scholarships. So we have had all kinds of women come to our retreat. We've given a lot of scholarships. The last time that we did one, I think we gave like 3.5 scholarships or something like that. And they were like, Nicole, do you have to give out so many scholarships? And I was like, yes,
Yes.
that's what Nikks Village does. Like, if I could, because the truth is, there is some expense to me and to the people that I partner with. Both of the people I partner with have a for-profit organization, and I'm so nonprofit that I would, like, work 50 hours a week and not get paid. And so I don't think about that part of it, of the expense of, like, my gas going from here to there, the things that I personally pay for just because they need to be paid for and that kind of stuff. So my friends kinda keep me on point sometimes with, "Yeah, we understand you're nonprofit, but you still have to get a little money for what you're doing, and you can't just give it all away." Because my instinct is to just give it all away. My instinct is, "Oh, we made money. Okay, that means somebody else can come to the retreat." Because, like I said, I don't want anyone to feel like they don't have access. And if I can help you get access, I wanna do that.
Very cool. How does yoga or the experience of the retreat, how does that help women heal from childhood trauma?
For one, a retreat is going to be a weekend of focused, um, a focused schedule where I personally do inner child workshops. So I lead women through this workshop. And I say women because I've never led a man, but I lead women through this workshop where they access parts of themselves at a different age in their childhood where something might have traumatized them or hurt them. And through play and art and music, we access that, we work through it, um, and so they're able to go back and heal something. Yoga, you come to yoga. Yoga is a mind body experience, as we talked about this morning. It's a journey. And just taking that time to be quiet and listen to your breath and breathe is healing. It gives you a moment. And so, learning how to use your breath and your movements of your body help when people are overwhelmed. And, you know, a retreat is gonna be a lot of workshops like that. It's gonna be yoga, it's gonna be Reiki, it's gonna be workshops. Um, but all of it together is just providing you with tools to take home. Um, Sometimes life is overwhelming, and if I have access to learning how to access my breath, sometimes I can get a brief moment of reprieve from whatever's going on. If I've learned how to journal because I've gone to a retreat or a workshop where they've talked to me about journaling and taught me how to journal, journaling is a great tool when I'm going through something and my mind won't shut down or I can just write. And there are different kinds of journaling. And so just exposing people to these different types of things, you know, gives them this other outlet that they don't even realize that they have at their own hands. Going into a yoga pose, child's pose, for example. You feel overwhelmed and you just take a moment and go into a room and go into child's pose and breathe and relieve some of that. And so I personally think that a lot of those things are helpful. Along with my friend Shakira that I partner with is a social worker. So it's it's not like we go cold into this with no, we have her there and she's always available to like give that extra needed beyond something that I might be able to offer. But it's just about teaching people tools and different tools. Like, you know, we go in the kitchen and we cook together and we get food that is good for you. And I was just talking about this to our friend Sandra. I was just talking to her about how, I wasn't exposed to a lot of the foods that I eat today. And I like being in the kitchen with other women and creating things that I might not have ever eaten and encouraging each other to try these different things. And it's something healing about spending a weekend with a group of women who are all trying to heal. healing comes. It happens. A lot of tears are shed, a lot of love is given. We like go out into the woods and, spend time touching the trees and the grass and, you know, just being together, not being on our phones, not not anything outside of the space where we're having the retreat. And I find that that's very healing. And for women who've never experienced that, it's like a foot in the door. They come to this weekend retreat and then they want, oh my gosh, where can I get Reiki? Where can I learn how to do Reiki? Where can I go for yoga? Who trained you to be a yoga instructor? Because I'm not your typical yoga instructor. I'm a yoga instructor, meditation instructor. I do retreats, workshops. If you saw me walking down the street, you wouldn't just assume that that's what I do with my life. But that's what I do. I help people heal. I don't mind putting my arms around someone and hugging them and holding them in my arms until I feel them release and I'll let go. I don't feel uncomfortable doing that. Some people feel uncomfortable, they're like, when can I get out of this hug? I don't. I think all of that's important, like the smile, just smiling as someone is healing. So these are all things that I like to provide. That if you come to my workshop or my retreat or my yoga class, and some things I do get paid for, but that's never it's never a deal breaker. If I'm trying to get into the CYWA in Coatesville, ultimately, if it was a perfect world, I would have someone to write grants for me and get me money so that I could pay for my life and do what I want. And I would go into places like the CYWA and places like that, and I would provide my services for free. Right now, I don't have anybody to write grants for me. So I'm going to go into the CYWA and I'm going to provide my services for free. And I'm just not going to get paid. But it's more important that the women that are there, because that's a shelter for women and their children who have nowhere else to go. And that's a perfect place to go and help them to heal from stuff and help them to know how important they are to our community and that they are loved. And it's okay that they find themselves in this position. There's a way to get out of it, and they're going to be okay. They're valuable, important members of our community. And I want to go in and let them feel that. And so if there's no money passing hands, it just is. I don't get paid for it, but I'm gonna do it. Um, and I serve lunches in the park to the kids, and it takes up most of my week. And my knee is hurting, and my back is hurting, and I wouldn't. It's not even a question if I'm gonna stop doing that. No, I'm not. I'm gonna keep doing it until physically I'm not able to do it, and I'm gonna keep. If I have one volunteer, if I have zero volunteers. I'm gonna be down there every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 9 to 2, and on Monday and Wednesday, Shakira's gonna be there making sure it happens because that's important. So, I don't know if I answered your question. I feel like I went off on a tangent.
That's okay. No, it's okay. I had like several questions run through my head. Let me pick up the most recent one. What is the lunch program in the park?
The lunch program is through, Nutritional Development Services. So, go back a minute.
Okay.
When I was a child, I used to go to the park and get lunch. There's this lady there and she had lunches, and I would go to park and get lunch. And I just remember that in the summer, I could go to park and get lunch, and I would go to park and get lunch. And so not that long ago, I work at the YMCA here in Coatesville, and I'm at the Y and I'm like, I remember going to the park and getting lunch in the summer. Why don't they do that anymore? And so I go to one of my friends at the Y who works there, and I say, "Well, blah, 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 blah." And she says, "Well, we're actually serving lunches here at the Y." And she's like, "Here's the phone number. Option one, call them. They have training. You probably will be able to do it." So I call and we get everything set up, and I have training, and I get volunteers and I get donations because what good is lunch at the park if there's no toys and games and fun? So I get donations for water guns and jump ropes and sidewalk chalk and bubbles and, balls and all that great stuff. So I go down to the park from 9 to 2, Monday through Friday. Me and volunteers, because I'm not always physically able to be there because I do teach yoga, but we're at the park from 9 to 2, and we provide lunch and activities to the children. Lunches are dropped off between 9 and 11:30. We serve lunches from 11:30 to 1:30. Um, we bring water down for the water guns. We make bubbles from concentrate. Now I know how to make bubbles from concentrate. Um, we stop fights. We tell little girls they're not ugly just because the little boys tell them that they are. And that's what we do. The Y comes down and plays with the kids twice a week. And so they're part of it. But it's a Nikks Village thing. I thought it up. I partnered with Shakira. And there you go.
Very good. How many kids do you, serve lunches to? Like, how many actually, participate?
Right now, we're serving about 25. We had one day last week where we served 35 because we had a camp that came down for lunch. But we serve about 20, between 20 and 25 every day. And it's kind of growing because we're passing the word out more and as more people see. So it's important that you're consistent. And so that first week we had that storm and we weren't there that Wednesday. And so then, the kids came Monday and Tuesday. They were probably looking for us Wednesday. We weren't there. So they kind of started coming back Thursday and Friday, but they're probably wary of it. They didn't know if we'd be there Monday. Now we've been there a whole nother week. I think that it's building up its momentum. Like they know they can come there. They know we're going to have stuff for them to do. They know their friends are going to be there. And so they're looking forward to it. So I think it's still kind of early to say how many kids will serve a day or, that kind of stuff. But it's coming along great.
Okay, between the feeding the lunches and then your community with yoga and retreats, how many volunteers do you, participate with you?
Well, I do way more stuff than that. But
Oh,
we
well, then tell me more about what you do.
have I have served lunches, served dinners at, Safe Harbor in Chester and, Westchester. Um, so for a couple months, me and a nice little crew of tiny volunteers. See, I utilize people that, I would probably get in trouble with child labor laws, but all the kids. So we originally started we would clean up the parks. And I would call the kids out, and, like, whatever kids were connected to me would come out, and we would just clean up the parks. We'd get equipment from the, what's it called? People that
DPW?
clean up the city works,
Okay.
from Public Works. So we would go to Public Works and get the things that pick up trash, get bags, all of that stuff, and we would clean up. So that's one of the things Nikks Village does. And that's mainly parks, because the kids want to play in the parks, and the parks are sometimes really nasty. Um, Feeding Safe Harbor was a big one, and the kids loved that because what we would do is, I personally have been in Safe Harbor for 6 months. I stayed in the shelter for 6 months.
Just real quick, can you explain what safe harbor is? People might not know.
Safe Harbor is a shelter for adult men and women in Chester County. It may be the only like shelter for like adult women in Chester County without kids. So, but it's a shelter. Uh, you can be there from like 6 in the evening until like 6 or 7 in the morning or something like that. And then during the day, you have to be outside. You can't be in there. But they help you to get housing. They help you to if you need help, like, figuring out a job and that kinda stuff. They give you some help to get back on your feet. So when I was there, um, I didn't feel that there was a lot of care put into the food. So I have a problem with when people give to other people. A lot of times you give stuff that you don't want, that you wouldn't want yourself. And I don't think that's really giving. I think giving is when I give something that in my heart I really love. Um, and I give it to someone, that's actual giving. So for me, being in a shelter and receiving the food that was being presented by people that were, volunteering to feed people, it felt really substandard. It really hurt my heart. And um, so I was like, "Can I feed the people? Can Nikks Village feed the people?" Because I have volunteers and I have and they'll pay for good stuff. And so we made lasagna one time, we made fried chicken one time. Like we made these really nice, tasty meals. And me and my niece, my friend Becky, she's a nutritionist in Downingtown. And so we've made these meals and we would take them to Safe Harbor. Zandra helped me and my brother Kaweka, my niece Kiara, and a bunch of kids. And we would take them to Safe Harbor and we wouldn't just drop the food off. Some of us would go upstairs to the women's floor and some would stay on the men's floor and we served them. Like, what would you like? And we brought the plate to them and we made it really nice. Dessert, the whole thing. And so we did that. We stopped because the children absolutely loved doing it, but policy, some of the children were too young to be in the facility, and it was brought up that they were too young. And so
Yeah, policies change a lot of things. It
I
really puts
couldn't really
pressure on
change
giving
anything.
hearts.
Like,
Yeah,
I didn't wanna then drop the food off because that takes away what we were doing, and I didn't wanna tell the little people that I was going in with adults and they weren't allowed to come in. Um, so it wasn't actually a good fit for us anymore.
right.
So, we stopped. So things like that, I would say it's off and on. There are people I can always call on, like the kids. As far as adults, we probably have about 15 or 20 volunteers down at the park right now, that help us with the park. Donations, I get donations from all kinds of people all the time. Um, I never have a shortage for volunteers. The year I was at Safe Harbor, we did Christmas for all the residents. So I asked every resident if they could get one thing, what would it be? And they all gave me a wish list. And every person in there, it might have been about 20 people, were adopted by someone. And that person bought them exactly what they wanted. And in 9 times out of 10 cases, much more than they ever asked for.
Oh, wow.
And I had them donate personal hygiene items, but I told them not to go to the Dollar Tree, not to go to Family Dollar, to go to a real store and get them real personal hygiene items that they themselves would use. And we had so much stuff that I completely hooked every single person in the shelter up, and we had a box of stuff to give the shelter so that when new people came in, they could get some stuff. So when Nikks Village shows up, it shows up, like, hundreds of dollars to buy food, to make things like lasagna. Lasagna is expensive, and to make lasagna, a beautiful lasagna meal for, like 20, 30 people is a lot, and they showed up. And that was the first one we did, and that month, we had enough money left over to feed them the second month without asking for volunteers for money. for
That's
donation.
awesome.
Yes, so we have a lot.
A lot. Very good. Okay, you from all the different things Nikks Village is involved with, can you share a story of impact where you can directly see the work that you're doing and a person's life or a group of people's lives changed?
Absolutely. So, we as I said, I do retreat, and without saying anyone's name or whatever, I have had women come to the retreat who have been broken, like, sad and crying the whole time, and there's this one particular woman who I just ran into at Everybody Yoga and Wellness, and my heart exploded because when she was coming to my retreat, she came to like 2 of my retreats, and she's gotten readings from me, and she's gotten Reiki from me, and it's always been so heavy and she's just and so, like, you watch her, and from the very first interaction with her, she was really heavy and really like, and then it's like the next time you see her, she's not as heavy. And the next time you see her, "Oh my god, is this really her?" And then the last time I saw her, I didn't even know it was her. Like, I'm looking at her and I'm like and then she says her name and I'm like, "Oh my god, you look so good." Like, she learned and she was in a spiritual workshop with me. So it wasn't like, I just ran into her in the street. She was still doing the work, and she was still doing the work, and she was in this workshop with me. Like, she wasn't coming to a workshop where I was teaching her. She was in a workshop where I was attending. And it was so nice to sit with her. Like, I'm telling you, I walked past her and didn't know who she was. And I know when she said her name when we were sitting next to each other, I was like, and I know she was like, "You've been sitting next to me for 15 minutes and you're just now gonna," because I didn't know it was her. She had so much. Like, she was so light. And she had been so heavy before and so just and you see it, you feel the energy on people. And so she's someone that I'm really happy to have had a part in helping her to make it to the other side.
Nice. I want to circle, I guess it's kind of circling back. And when we were getting ready for our conversation today, um, you enjoy growing Next Village and with community service and new ideas. And I love the fact that you're not afraid to have feet on the ground and arms around your community. I so love that. Um, and I like the way that you connect your programs to the community. Can you just explain a little bit more about that? What that looks like?
So, sometimes to my detriment, like I told you, my back is hurting, my knee is hurting. I I'm involved in everything. There's nothing that I'm asking anyone to do that I'm just sitting back and watching them do. If lasagna is being made, I'm in the kitchen. I'm stirring a pot. I'm putting the cheese on the noodles. I'm doing something. I'm in there with the people that are making it happen. I'm I'm it starts in my head somewhere. I come up with this idea of something that needs to happen in my community. I live here in the center of Coatesville. I walk the streets of Coatesville. I talk to the people in Coatesville. I work at the Coatesville YMCA. And so I have these ideas of things that are needed. And okay, we don't have any money. How are we going to give? How are we going to make that happen? And so that's my heart. That's where I come from. And so I start asking. I'm like, I start sending text messages. I'm trying to make this happen. Can you help me? Can you lead me? Can you guide me? You have friends. So Shakira is very popular on social media. She's actually the community coordinator for Second Century Alliance for Coatesville. And so I'll call her because she has these wealth of people. If I need people, I'm calling Shakira. If I need money, I'm gonna go on Facebook and say, "Oh, I need money for Nikks Village for this." And then my friends are going to share that to the right people who have money who like to do that kind of a thing. And then they are going to donate to us. So it's me being involved with my little hands and everything. And that's why we're an unofficial nonprofit because Nikks Village comes from my heart. It it's really from my heart. And so the idea of becoming an official nonprofit and having a board tell me what I can and cannot do and how I can affect my community and how I can love the people and what I can do with the $20 that so and so donated and how many scholarships I can give or whatever it is, the idea of that, I I have no desire for that. So we'll probably be unofficial forever because it's like I said, it's so connected to my heart. I couldn't hand it over to somebody if I wanted to. It wouldn't look the same. It wouldn't be what I want to create. And I want to create a community that just keeps growing and it's filled with love and care for each other and healing. There's such great healing and eating and spending time together and laughing and all of those kinds of things. And that's what I want to be going on at events that Nikks Village is doing, that I'm a part of. Um, I don't want anyone to feel left out. And the way I do that is probably controversial because I don't get involved in any of the labels. If you're coming through here with some kind of label, oh, I'm this, can I be involved? You can be involved because you're human, but you can't be involved because you're throwing some label on yourself, and I need to cater to your label. I don't wanna cater to labels. I wanna cater to human beings, to hearts. It's a heart mission. It's not everybody is welcome to get love from Nikks Village. Every single person. I don't wanna get involved in anything outside of you being a human being, and that's how I keep it like it is, you know?
You've kind of touched on this, but succinctly, can you share in 60 seconds or less why you volunteer?
I volunteer because I don't know how to do anything else.
Okay. I love it. Okay. You've just trying to think where we are. You're making such impact in so many people's lives. But I suspect with the different ways you show up for your community, you've experienced the blooper. Something that didn't necessarily go wrong, it just didn't go as you had planned. And what did you learn from
Blooper, man. Um, when you
I
first
didn't snub you, did
no,
I?
when you first said it to me, I thought of the whole thing with NDS. And, that. So that whole thing was I applied, I'm doing training, I'm getting ready to do all this stuff, and they do a background check. And they did my background check, and 30 years ago, I committed a felony. And so they have a zero tolerance policy. So I'm no longer eligible to be a part of their program. And I fell apart. Like, how am I going to continue? What am I going to do? And um, basically, what what happened was I realized that okay, I can't do the paperwork for NDS. Okay, I can't call them and say, "We need 16 lunches instead of 25 lunches." But I can delegate that responsibility to Shakira, and Shakira can do it. And I work for the YMCA, so the NDS can't tell me I can't play with the kids or be around the kids, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's not taken from me. It's just dealing with them. They won't work with me because of that. And so that was a moment. I cried. I was hurt. I didn't see a way out of it. I didn't see a way for me to still be providing lunches at the park. And that's a lot to do because I have hands in everything. I do all of it.
Right.
And so that was a moment where I had to say, okay, Nick, you're going to have to delegate this responsibility to someone else and still see it as your program and not see it as it's no longer my program because I have to allow someone else to do this. And so it was a big learning experience for me.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. Okay. I'm going to give you the mic and I want you to love, capital letters, love on Nikks Village. Maybe there's something we didn't cover in our conversation. Maybe there's something coming up you want people to check out, or maybe you just want people want to know more about you. Um, Go for it.
Wow. Now this one stumped me. Like, well, I've been loving on Nikks Village. Everything I said was loving on Nikks Village. Um, yeah, I have a YouTube video. Um, if you look up maybe Nikks Village, probably if you YouTube Nikks Village, you'll probably find it. But it's a video before I even did one drop of work towards Nikks Village, and it was me talking about my passion behind helping women to heal. So that's an interesting video because you get to see me now. You kind of see me in the thick of it. But if you look that video up on YouTube, Nikks Village, NIKKS Village, you may find you may see me differently because that was just my passion for this idea that I had. Um, I'm currently in between websites, not quite sure what I want to do with my website, so it is down. Um, and I have a Facebook presence, but I don't really do much on it because I just do everything under my name. Like Nikks Village has a Facebook, Nikks Village, and every now and then I go in there and I post something for Nikks Village. But it's really a lot. It's a lot to have your feet on the ground doing all that, to have your feet on the ground doing the website, to have your feet on the ground reading emails and doing Instagram and Facebook and all that. It's a lot. And so for me, I'd rather be in person with the people than on social media with them. And social media for me is kind of more of like a break for me away from life to like be on social media, so I don't connect that so much. But I do have an Instagram and a Facebook where you can look and see old things that I've done because I used to keep it very up to date. I don't keep it up to date now, but if you ever want to see what kinds of things Nikks Village has done, that would be a great place to go to see them. Um, I use hashtags. So it says it takes a village, hashtag it takes a village, hashtag to heal the world, hashtag it starts with me, hashtag Nikks Village, hashtag healing, hashtag our world, hashtag one person at a time. Um, but that's so it takes a village to heal the world. Um, it starts with me, Nikks Village, healing the world one woman at a time, one person at a time.
Wow.
It used to be one woman at a time. I changed it to one person because my friends talked me into being inclusive. And ever since I've done that, no men have come, but I'm inclusive. So that works. But yeah, so those are ways like those hashtags you could probably find stuff connecting to things I've done because I used to do those on every single post I did. Uh, Now you can find me in the streets doing what I do. You can
Okay.
find me loving the kids up down at the park. You can find me, I volunteer yoga once a month. Um, you can find me when I get to CYWA. I'm always open to ways that I can be involved with my community. So if anybody on here is in the Coatesville area and you want to collaborate or you want to do something, I'm open to that. I I want to help the community. I want to be I'm a part of the community, but I want to really help it. Coatesville needs a lot of love. My father and mother, father was from Ursuline, My mother was from Kennett. I spent the last 20 something years of my father's life here in Coatesville with him. And I never left. I've lived in Coatesville the longest that I've lived anywhere in my whole entire life. And though I wasn't born here and I didn't spend the first, 30 years of my life here, I have spent the last 26 here in Coatesville.
You're dating
And
yourself. Be careful.
I'm okay with that. And I want to pour as much love into Coatesville and its people as possible because I think that's what's missing. I think it's you can't build a community without love and without care. And you can't just run over people and build a road. You gotta give some love and some care. Maybe you move the house a couple inches to the right or something, but you just can't run through like that. And I think that's what Coatesville needs. So in any way that I can be a part of giving that, that's what I'm going to be here doing.
Excellent. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I love your heart. I truly do. And you're so compassionate about the women in your life and how you reach the community. And I know my listeners enjoyed hearing about your journey, your passions, and just how you're showing up to serve your community. So thank you.
Thank you, Stormy.
To my listeners, I know you found value in this conversation. And I hope that you realize that you're helping the person next to you really does matter. Together, we help restore the fabric of our society because we have to treat each other with love and respect and compassion. So, if you found value today, please rate and review wherever you listen to this podcast because it really does help other people hear about the ways that we can show up and serve. So, thank you. I look forward to seeing you next time on The Art of Volunteering.